Welcome to today's video, Cloudy's flag training. So most of you won't really have met Cloudy. There's maybe a small Liberty video from online, but he is our most recent pony. He came to us from Redwings around 2 years ago. He was rising 4 when we got him. He's 6 now, and he is a mini-cob. He's about 11.3. He came to us so that we could have him for riding for some of the children, for my daughter who's grown out of the pony, but he came handled but unbroken, and his story is quite interesting. So when Cloudy was found by World Horse Rescue, he was an abandoned pony in a herd of around 30. However, he was one, if not the youngest pony in the herd. The problems with this means that Cloudy had had very little human contact. However, he also hadn't been brought up in an environment correct for kind of horse contact and herd management. The horses had had to fight over food, over space, over grazing. So Cloudy had been bullied, being the youngest. He'd learned to solve problems with baiting and bucking. He couldn't socialise with other horses. It took us around a year for us to integrate him into our other two and actually have them live happily together. Now he rides and ponies out, works and lives all the time with the other two horses, and has settled into horse life. You'll see some short clips on our Instagram of him mutually grooming the other pony. Even though she's a mare and quite stroppy, they've even learnt to get along. And since we've had him, he's come on great in terms of he has been broken to saddle. He takes young children out on hacks on main roads. He does long reining. I'm starting to break him for driving. He loves doing obstacle courses, touch work. We've done a little bit of Liberty. So all in all, he's come along very well. But like all horses, he has still some little issues and little things from his past that are still bothering him. And one of these is meeting demands. So when Cloudy doesn't want to do something, and normally that involves hard work, so he's settled into the idea that he is a domestic horse and it's great, he can live in a field, we can bring him in, groom him, feed him. He loves that. But the moment it came to actually having to do a little bit harder work than maybe lead reining some toddlers around, or standing or walking circles for my daughter to do some trick riding, he started with bronking. So first time my daughter rode him off lead rein and tried to put some demand on where she wanted to go rather than him. We had a bronking session recently while I was lunging a child and doing some pole work, which he loves. However, he'd got a bit bored doing the same circle. I hadn't spotted it quick enough, and I'd kind of chased him on a circle a little bit with the lunge line to keep him going. And then the next circle, he came round again. He decided he would bronk to get out of it. The child was a little bit unseated, but she was okay. She was still in the saddle, and I managed to pull him in on the lunge line, slow him down, lift her down. She was fine. She got back on. We had a little ride around the field, and he's hacked out with her fine since. No more bronking. But then when we have these stable issues, like you can see here, so he's fine when he comes in just to be tied up and fed. But the moment we go to do feet, if there's two people, someone stood giving him all the attention at the front, fine. The moment there's only one person, we start with the antics of this back and forward, head against the stable, climbing up on the step, head over the stable doors, swaying side to side, anything to not have to meet what I think is the anticipation and demand of having to possibly go and do some work. Part of this is probably because we've been picking feet out on the days where he's working, and because he does graze out 24/7, we haven't possibly done them on the days where he's just grazing. We've just done them in the field. Lewis not brought him in and tied him to the wall. So when he's tied up, that's always when he's about to have to do work. So along with changes to that routine, we also noticed when the saddle pad's brought out, when the saddle's brought out, it's the same antics, all pointing towards this kind of demand avoidance. And I see this in a lot of the children I work with as well. So I decided a new approach was needed. So I went to the flag work approach. This is an approach to say to Cloudy, when you're in and tied up, you're not always going to work. So long as I say with a change of routine, sometimes he'll just be fed. But you need to find that sweet spot to stand facing the stable when people are around you. You cannot be pacing back and forward, pushing your weight into them, striking out with your front feet, rearing up. These things are dangerous for the people around you. You need to find your sweet spot to stand, and when you stand there, all the pressure will come off. So what you can see here is me starting to apply that flag work. So using it to correct his stance. When he is in this sweet spot in front of the stable, I praise him. However, the moment he moves, you can see the head rubbing here on the hay net. The moment he doesn't stand and he wants to do this swaying back and forward, because what happens is the moment you put a saddle pad on and then go to get the saddle pad slides off because he paces. So just moving him back, give him a little liberty command he knows there, just to step back and stand. The moment he's stood, it's nice little scratches, low energy. And then you'll see I try to progress to the feet. So here you can see I'm just taking energy down. He stood very nicely. Reach down for the foot. Little step back. He's having a look at me. He's like, okay. Oh, look, if I just stand here, it's not that difficult. So we give him a little pet, say thank you. However, you can see the moment it's done, back to the pacing. Well, yeah, but I don't want to have to do any more, so I'll pace around. If she doesn't do all four, we won't be able to have to go riding. So I've got a few minutes out because this video was an hour in total. So you can see again, we did some more flag work and then we got the other front foot done. Little touch, say thank you. And I'll talk about that little touch both in this video and more in the day 2 video. And if any of you watch Steve Young doing his flag work, you'll know how important that little touch is. And also not overdoing it, which I can have a habit to do. So just a little correction here. Let him have a chance to think about it. He thought about it. He stood. Just correcting him back from the stable. What he's done is actually put himself really close to the stable. Because again, then he thinks he can barge forward when you go towards the back end. So give him a little stroke. To the front foot again. Pretend to pick it out. Little pet. Little touch. Tell him he's a good boy. I'm assessing his energy here because you can see he's already swaying, so it's pointless me going straight for the back foot at this point because he was only going to move. So what I'm going to do is go back to the flag work. I'm going to move him side to side. So he wants to move around, then fine, but I'm going to move those feet. It's me in charge of these feet. I'm the alpha. That way I decide where you need to stand. And for all we take a natural horsemanship and holistic approach, that doesn't necessarily mean a soft touch. This pony does need to learn where the boundaries are so that he can be safe around people and so he can have the most enjoyable life. You will see there's lots of times where I give him lots of scratches and time away. You'll see how quick some of the aids are to lower the flag and lift the flag so it's clear communication with his type of communication. There is no sound because my GoPro unfortunately decided not to record the sound for this. However, actually beyond asking him to move away and asking him to whoa and telling him he's a good boy, not too much chit chat in this video because I'm trying to let him find that relaxed, quiet space and keep the energy low. So you give him a little pet here, a little touch for standing, good boy, and I actually stand away just to give him a minute to soak it all in. For what you can see is the moment I stand away and turn away, he goes straight into the liberty mode. Now, I didn't ask for the follow, and he needs to learn when I don't ask for it, he doesn't need to come. What happened is, having been bullied so much in the field, when he was then rescued by Redwings, and they did a terrific job with him condition-wise and handling-wise, and getting him haltered. However, the downside is he realised he loved people more than he loved horses. People didn't bully him. People did feed him. Everything about people was great. Everything about horses wasn't so great. However, that has slowly turned into over pushing of the boundaries of people. So barging in, demanding head scratching. I probably didn't help because we started with some treat training because he's quite food motivated. Now, if any of you do listen to Steve Young, you'll know his views on treat training. And I have to say, having experimented with lots of different youngsters over the years, I have to agree. Where possible, we try to not use treat training and then only use it with our more advanced horses, possibly as rewards for some liberty work and things, but where they know what the reward is. Because very rarely will an alpha let you take food off them, so by treating the horse by hand, we're taking away our alpha position. So here, re-establish my alpha, I can move now, rubbing her head on the hay net, doesn't count either. We know that's you just footering in another way. And I put this down to fidgeting a little bit at the beginning because he was a youngster. But he's 6 now. He's been here a couple of years. He's settled. He can settle by the stable. This has become something over the last couple of months that's actually getting worse and worse day by day. He was okay when the farrier came last because I stood and petted him at the head and topped him. Then he's fine. But the moment I went to pick his foot up the next day from the front, Lunge tried to push me into the stable. So, because we do have to tie stable walls where we are, it isn't safe for him to learn to spin like this, back and forward. You can see here, I'm just going to give him a little correction, try and help him out. Yeah, there you go. Good boy. See, that's where I want you just to stand steady. So I'm just going to correct that back again. I don't need to go all the way around the back, make a big movement. Just once I didn't ask you to take that step. Good lad. And because he stepped back so quietly and there wasn't anything you can see here, I'm just going to give him a good rub. Let him relax his neck, let him relax his poll, so that I can get to the next foot. So he picks it up nicely, and you'll see I then go give him a little scratch, head for the back foot, see if he'll let me have the back foot nicely as well. Good boy, little movement was just his balance. Do the back foot, give him a little rub. So come around to this side, swap the flag over so it's out his way, but you can see he goes to move. Now whether it's because I swapped the flag over, there's pacing, but because I can see his face from here, so it's pacing, so I just make a little correction there. He goes to use his mouth and his head weight against me. Again, tries to forward. Disengage the hind end again. And again the other way. And a few of you will be like, well, why the flag? Why don't I just take him by the lead rope and try and ask him to stand? So why don't I straighten up by the lead rope? But it's about energy. If you think of some of the children that come to work with me, they come from having had ACEs or trauma experiences. So they come full of energy, full of not knowing, full of excitement, full of anticipation, worries. And then I meet them and I try to keep my energy low, and I take them by the hand and I walk them down and I sit them in a seat, and I think what I must do is lower the energy, because if I lower the energy we can bring down all this hyperness so I can get them to focus. But we know that doesn't work. So what we do is we meet them with the same energy. We go and do play-based things first. We go and do outdoor activities. We encourage them to run to the next activity rather than walk in a nice line. But then when we are ready to take our break or do a slower activity, we start bringing our energy down and down until we're ready to rest, and the child will follow suit. They will then come and lower their energy, focus on activity, having expelled some of those extra anticipation, anxieties. And you can see the same as what Clody's doing here with the little kicks. It's the same thing, it's just the anticipation. You can see he was not trying to particularly kick me. It was just, I don't understand the task. I'm still not 100% confident in this, so I can't do my flight, so I'll go into fight mode. And this is what happens to the children a lot of times in schools, is they will try to abscond or they will try to move. And then what will happen is that they are then made stay in a set place. So then they will go, or corner, so then they will go into fight mode. So by matching him with the flag, what I'm doing is matching his energy. And then the moment he puts himself like here, exactly where I want, you can see all my energy is down, body language is down, shoulders are down, head's down, eyes are down, flag's down, and a lovely pick up of the back foot result. So give him a little scratch, tell him he's good. And this isn't overnight. This isn't an overnight fix. This session was about 1 hour and 15, I would say, in total, in terms of the flag, with breaks in between. So during that time, he had kind of 3 full breaks, maybe 5-10 minutes, let him absorb. He then had a feed afterwards. You can see here actually is one of his breaks now. And this is a really interesting one. So I'd gone completely away to have a coffee, make sure that I kept myself and my energy considered, and didn't let my anxieties, frustrations, and like that, hating the emotion. So I'd gone for my break, left him for his break, let us both have time to absorb and reflect. And you can see here, he stood watching the herd in the other field, his herd. So not surprising, he's looking for a little bit of reassurance, but he's looking content. He's soft, he's not stood tense. And here, suddenly, he starts the yawning. Now, for people who know horses, now this isn't just a tiredness yawn. This is him releasing a lot of that stress and creating the right chemical balances in his brain. He is releasing a particular muscle under his kind of eye by the top of his jawbone called the TMJ. And in doing so, he is relaxing his whole body. He's releasing the right chemicals to the brain. He's absorbing information. You can see him licking and chewing. Again, good sign that he is processing the information. And then after a while, I come back. It was just nice I left the camera running, so I got to see that. So then I came back. We did a little bit more. We did it till we could pick up all 4 feet, one at a time in order. With just a little bit of flag work between one side and the other. And then I came back, had a little bit of standing time in between the feet to see if just dropping my energy in between each one, we would get from one side to the other. So I go for the back and then go to the other side and go for the back again. You can see he considered the little kick, partially I think because he saw my partner out the corner of his eye around the corner, but he stood. And we do number 3. So 3 out of 4 I decided to leave there because it was so good. And follow up with a new day. An hour and a quarter was a long time for this session, even with the breaks. So you can go through our YouTube channel. You will see day 2 posted shortly, where you can see the progress we suddenly make when he's had chance to go back to the field, absorb all the information, and then come back in and try again.